Hello, I'm Mike, and this is Will. We are the Tabletop Donkeys.
Hello.
We're reading issue 39 of Warhammer Age of Sigmar Mortal Realms magazine today. And this issue we got a Cairn Wraith miniature for the Nighthaunt army. And as always, before we have a look at the issue, if you want to skip straight to the battle plan for this issue, there's a time code in the description, or you can use the little chapter markers on the time bar. Heading into the issue now. First up we have some backstory on the Cairn Wraiths themselves. Apparently they're the spirits of mass murderers, reborn I suppose in death. It talks about how before the Necroquake there were sort of lone murderers, but after the Necroquake there were considerably more of them hanging about, and Nagash was able to bind all of them to his will at once. And how they're usually entrusted to lead formations of Grave Stalkers and Grimghast Reapers into battle. Here was some backstory on Alariel the Everqueen, the goddess of the realm of life and the leader of the Sylvaneth. Reiterate some of her backstory here, and on the next page we get a nice picture of her model atop her giant Wardroth beetle. There's a backstory on more of the Auric war clans. These are the Iron Jaws, who are sort of the biggest and strongest of all the Aurics and the most heavily armoured and most well armed, but they are generally in fewer number than the other greenskin hordes you normally find. And there's a little short story here about Alariel leading the forces of Sylvaneth against the forces of Nurgle on the realm of life. Now you have the build guide for the Cairn Wraith. Like the Tomb Banshee, this is one of the older Nighthaunt models, so it comes with a square base. I used it when I built mine, but you do get a 32mm base. You can just use that on its own if you prefer. It's not too many parts, fairly easy to put together. You do get a choice of head. There's the two bear skulls and one with a mask. I went with the mask because I thought it made him more distinct from the Grimghast Reapers. And the painting guide is pretty similar to the other Nighthaunt you've seen so far. He's basically just a Grimghast Reaper. The only real difference here is if you choose the mask, you're painting it with Master Gold here, although I gave mine sort of rusted metal look, and going over the bases with the texture paint which we've seen in the last few issues. And there's the finished model. That'll be it for the overview, and we can get into our game now.
Now we'll be on to our game for this issue. But first we have two new things to learn. The first of these is how to set up a battlefield. So this is so that rather than using the printed terrain on the board where it shows where you put things, you can place the terrain however you wish, and this is just giving you some ideas of how to do that. So for example, I suggest that you don't put terrain too close to the edges of the battlefield or too close to each other, either taking in turns to place terrain or set it up in a mutually agreeable manner, or possibly roll off to decide who gets to place a terrain feature first. There are various ways you can do that. And here's just an example. Some players doing exactly that, rolling off and then placing terrain features one at a time. And in this battle plan we are indeed supposed to set up the terrain ourselves, so we'll get to see this in action very shortly. Then there's also a section about positioning multiple mats, because as we got in the last issue, we now have our third battle mat, on the other side of which we haven't seen yet, they have a design that matches up in various ways, so you can make larger battlefields with multiple mats, and these are just some suggestions of how you might want to set them up together, how they can link up, and some ideas for having larger battlefields. The second new thing we have is a war scroll for the new Cairn Wraith model. He only has 4 wounds, which is one less than most of the Nighthaunt heroes that we've had so far, but it's 4 plus save and a 6-inch move and bravery 10 as usual. And he has a large scythe, the Reaper Scythe, which has a 2-inch range for 3 attacks which hit on 4's wound on 3s and have Ren -1 and 2 damage. But thanks to his frightful touch ability, he rolls an unmodified 6 to hit, then it does 2 mortal wounds instead. He also has Reap Like Corn, which is the same as the Grimghast Reapers have if he's attacking a unit with 5 or more models. And on the back we just have a quick tutorial on those abilities, so 2 mortal wounds if he rolls a 6 to hit, and re-rolling hits for Reaps Like Corn. Then we're on to our fiction, a Duel of Champions. There's a picture of Xandria Azurebolt there. Following on from the previous issue, she and her warriors are broken through into the central area of the ruins of Summersong, where they have found the remains of the Grand Temple, the largest building still standing in the ruined city, which is suffused with death magic. But as they approach the main door to the temple, a large number of Nighthaunt Geists emerge from it, including a scythe-wielding Cairn Wraith, who speaks to Xandria Azurebolt, telling her that the Heartwood Kush belongs to Nagash, so presumably that's why it's a Duel of Champions. So then we'll be on to the Battleplan attack on the temple, where we have, for the Nighthaunt, the Cairn Wraith, as you might have guessed, accompanied by the Guardian of Souls, the Tomb Banshee, 10 Chain Rasps, 10 Dreadscythe Harridans, and 4 Grimghast Reapers. And Xandria Azurbolt's forces are herself, 5 Sequitors, 3 Castigators, 4 Gryph-hounds, and the Celestar Ballista. This is the first game we had on the other side of the Realm of Life board. This is the one with the machinery design on the back, which we haven't seen so far. There are 2 objectives placed along the centre line, as you can see, 6 inches from the central point. Both sides have a 6-inch territory at either end. But there's no terrain on here, as I said, we have to set up the terrain ourselves. As it says, we set up the Azurite Ruins, Dominion of Sigmar statue, and the Azurite Bell Tower. So that's all the terrain that features on the Roll of Life board normally, referring to the tutorial if we need some help, so we will do that shortly. Then we alternate setting up units one at a time, starting with the Stormcast. The Stormcast Eternals have the first turn in the first battle round. And then for victory, whoever has the most victory points, you get a victory point for holding each objective. If Xandria Azurebolt or the Cairn Wraith are slain, then the Nighthaunt and Stormcast gain a victory point, respectively. So that's it for our battle plan. We will set up the terrain now, and then we will show you the deployment and get into the game. So I'll actually show you the board now that we've set up the terrain before there's any models on it, so you can see what we've done. So we rolled off, and I rolled higher and placed the terrain piece first, but it doesn't really matter how you do it, so we've just placed the 2 ruins, and then the statue on the right, and the bell tower up on the left. And you can see the 2 objectives on there as well, and it's really that simple. And here we have deployed our armies. So the Stormcast deployed a unit first, so we'll look at them first. We've got down here on their right flank the 5 Sequitors, and next to them the 4 Gryph-hounds. And then on the far side by the bell tower we've got Xandria Azurebolt, who will be my general, the 3 Castigators, and the Ballista behind them. Over on the Nighthaunt end, on their right flank, we've got 4 Grimghast Reapers all the way over there. We've got the 10 Chain Rasps. There's 3 heroes in the middle. We've got the Tomb Banshee at the front, then the Cairn Wraith and the Guardian of Souls, and then the 10 Dreaded Scythe Harridans over here on the left flank.
Thematically, my general should be the Cairn Wraith, but I'm actually going to make him the Guardian of Souls, because maybe then we'll try and split his fire from the Ballista to the Guardian of Souls instead. And the Cairn Wraith's probably going to be in melee more, it's more likely to get killed. And the Guardian of Souls has an extra wound.
So I'll just give you another aerial view of the battlefield with the new terrain so you can see how those units face off and what they're going to be running into. Then the Stormcast get the first turn in the first battle round, so on to battle round 1. We will gain a command point, and then I will try and use Spirit Storm with Xandria. It's not in range to do any mortal wounds, but if the Nighthaunt get the double turn, it might reduce their run or charge rolls if they can get far enough forward. So looking for a 7, getting a 6, so it doesn't go off. Then for my movement, the Sequitors have moved up their 5 inches, just heading towards that objective steadily. Xandria Azurebolt ran just to get in front of the Castigators, so that next round she'll probably be in spell range. The Castigators themselves have moved up to be able to shoot. The Gryph-hounds are behind them, and the Ballista has moved up its 3, get a little bit closer. So we'll be on to the shooting phase. We'll start with the Castigators. They're only in range, only 2 of them are in range, and they're in range of the Chain Rasps. One of them couldn't quite get there. As usual, we'll always do power to accuracy, allowing them to reroll ones to hit. The prime hits on a 2, that'll be the red dice, and the other one on a 3. Getting 2 hits. Which wound on 3s? Oh, getting 2.
5+ save for Chain Rasps. Oh, made both.
Then the Ballista is not within 18-inch range to fire 4 shots, but it will fire 1 shot at the Cairn Wraith because he's worth a victory point. And if I shoot one of the summonable units, then the Guardian of Souls can just bring them back, so there's obviously much point. 1 shot hitting on a 4, because look out, sir. That's a 5, so that's a hit, which is D6 hits. Getting 6. Which wound on 3s, getting 5.
4+ saves. Made 3 of them, so he's down to 2 wounds already.
So the Cairn Wraith is down to 2. Well, that's everything there is to do in my turn, so we'll be on to Nighthaunt turn 1.
So, in my hero phase, I gain a command point, and then the Guardian of Souls will try and put Mystic Shield on the Harridans. Getting a 5, getting a 7.
Players will try and unbind that. Getting an 8. No, sorry, getting a 9, so it's unbound.
Movement phase, the Dreadscythe Harridans are moved up normally. They're just going to head off, try and stay away from the rest of my army, so just in case Xandria can somehow blow everything up. The Cairn Wraith has ran to keep up with them and hide behind the statue a bit. And over here, the Chain Rasps ran, they rolled a 5, so they've gone up with full 11. The Tomb Banshee and the Guardian of Souls both ran as well to keep up with them. The Tomb Banshee is actually within range of the Castigators and Xandria, and the Grimghast Reapers just moved up normally so far. And then in the shooting phase, the Banshee can use her Scream ability, and she's going to target the Castigators. So rolling 2d6, need to beat a 7 to do any damage. Oh, got an 8, so there's 1 mortal wound to the Castigators.
I put that on this one, doesn't matter. So on to the charge phase.
Yeah, the Grimghast Reapers are going to try and charge. Yeah, going to need at least a 10, I would have thought. Well, I can't re-roll 1 dice, so I'm not going to roll anything. Yeah, the Dreadscythe Harridans are going to try and charge as well. See if we can start doing some damage to the Sequitors. Not with a 4.
So that's the end of Nighthaunt turn 1 and the end of the battle round. So on to battle round 2, and rolling off. Oh, I've rolled a 4.
So have I. So you get to pick.
I will go first. So we're getting another command point going up to 2, and then we'll try and cast Spirit Storm again, needing a 7. Nope, that's a 4, so that doesn't happen. Then for our movement, the Sequitors have moved up this way towards the Harridans. Xandria has carried on moving into the middle, like this, and the Gryph-hounds come round the corner. Castigators have moved to the side, basically to let the Gryph-hounds through, and the Ballista just shuffled backwards slightly. Onto the shooting phase, we're going to start with the Sub Ballista. It's going to put the 4-shot profile into the Grimghast Reapers. So we've got 4 shots that hit on 5s. Oh, they all missed. And the Castigators will shoot at them as well. So 2 shots on 3s and 1 on the 2, re-rolling 1s. We can re-roll that 1 into a 4, so 3 hits, one of which is a 6, which does D3 for the 2, so that's 4 hits in total. Wounding on 3s, getting 4.
4 plus saves. Ooh, 1. Guess we'll keep the Extoller.
So on to the charge phase. We're going to start with the Sequitors declaring a charge. Their charge roll is an 8. They will finish their charge like this. Then we will charge with Xandria Azurebolt. She rolls a 5. That's enough to get her to here, engaging the Chain Rasps and bringing the Guardian of Souls in, but staying outside of 3 inches of the Tomb Banshee for now. And the Gryph-hounds will declare a charge as well. So their charge roll is an 8. And then finish their charge up here, so that 2 of them can have a go at that Grimghast Reaper. The other 2 have to engage the Chain Rasps. We'll be on to the fight phase then, and we're going to declare at the beginning of the fight phase the Sequitors will do power to weapons. I don't think I will shatter Xandria's Spirit Flasks at this point, because she's worth a victory point, and there's a Cairn Wraith who actually could hurt her quite badly, so I'm going to keep her on full wounds for now, but I'm going to pick these Sequitors to fight first. Not going to pile in at all, because that would bring the Cairn Wraith into combat, and I can't get any more Stormcast in. So we've just got the 2 Great Maces of the Prime. Great Maces hit on 3s, re-rolling fails, because power to weapons. We've got 3 hits, which win on 3s, getting 2.
4 plus saves. Failed both, so that's 4 damage so far.
And Prime, 3 attacks on 3s, they all hit. And wounding on 3s, only 1.
I saved that one. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to pick the Chain Rasps to go, and some of them have to go and fight Xandria. So we'll get 4 on Xandria and 4 on the Gryph-hounds. We've got 9 attacks because the Dreadwarden's there, hitting on 4s. 5 hits and wounding on 3s because we're wholly within 12 inches of the Guardian of Souls. Getting 4 wounds.
So that's 1 Gryph-hound dead and 1 takes a wound. Kill this Gryph-hound here and put a wound on the grey one in the corner there. I didn't say it before actually, but the Alpha is the one with the moulded base, so the closest one here. Yeah.
And then we've got 8 attacks on Xandria, hitting on 4s. 4 and wounding on 3s, getting 3.
She has a 3 plus save. She has failed 1 of those, so she's down to 4 wounds. I will pick the Gryph-hounds to go so that they can make their retreat move once they've attacked. 2 of them will attack the remaining Grimghast Reaper, and the Alpha has to attack the Chain Rasp. So that's 4 attacks on the Extoller of Shaiish, hitting on 3s, getting 3, and wounding on 4s, getting 2.
4 plus saves. No, he's dead.
And we'll do the 3 attacks from the Alpha on the Chain Rasps as well. They've all missed. 1, 1, 2. And then they get to make a 6-inch retreat move because of their darting attacks ability, and they're actually going to go over that way.
So I'll pick the Guardian of Souls to go, and he's just going to pile in, so he's like that. He has 3 attacks, hitting on 3s. They all hit. They wound on 2s because his ability applies to himself. Of course, he got to 1. That's 2 wounds at -1.
So 4 plus saves. Oh dear, she's taken 2 more wounds. Xandria is the only one left to go. She will hit back at the Guardian of Souls. She has 3 attacks hitting on 3s. We've got 2 hits. And wounding on 3s. Getting 1 and only 1.
4 plus save. Failed.
D3 damage for 2.
Down to 3. Finally, the Harridans get to go.
So they pile in like this, and they can all get within an inch. These ones at the back are across the gap between the models. Are in
just about. It was very tight. I was planning to fly them over, but couldn't maintain cohesion across the Stormcast, unfortunately. So we have 19 attacks hitting on 4s. So that's 10 hits. Oh, if that was a Spirit Host. And then wounding on 2s because they're within 12 inches of the Guardian of Souls, and 6s cause 2 damage. So yeah, that's going to be 8 wounds with 2 6s.
We'll do the 6 normal wounds first. We've got saves on 5s, rerolling 1s. Because of shields. Made 3, no 1, so 3 go 3 damage through so far. And the 2 6s, again 5s. Oh, save both, so 3 damage total. So this Sequitor who can't fight will die, and the wound will go on the normal one on the other end. It's the end of the combat phase, onto the battle shock phase, where the Gryph-hounds lost 1 model and they were only bravery 6. But I will actually just spend a command point because I don't really have that much more use for them at this point, down in command abilities. And with that, we're on to Nighthaunt, turn 2.
So, in my hero phase, I gain a command point, and the Guardian of Souls are trying to cast Spectral Lure. Got it with a 9.
I might as well use my Voidstorm scroll to automatically unbind that.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought was going to happen.
Because Xandria might be dead soon, and then she won't have any use for it.
So, in my turn, the Harridans are going to stay locked in combat. The Cairn Wraith is going to stay where he is for now. The Guardian of Souls is going to retreat up into the building so he can maintain his 12-inch aura to everyone. The Chain Wraiths have fallen back from Xandria so they don't just get blown up. And the Tomb Banshee is going to go off on her own and head towards the Castigators. Then the Tomb Banshee is actually going to scream at the Secretors. So needing to roll higher than a 7. Getting a 10, so that's 3 mortal wounds.
So the wounded Secretor in the end dies, and then we'll take away this great mace here as well.
The Tomb Banshee will charge the Castigators. Yeah. That's it. Oh, 9. She's just going to go for the Castigators. So the Cairn Wraith is going to charge. Well, a 7, that's probably enough to get him to where I want him to go. So he's going to charge like that to the other side of the Secretors.
At the start of the combat phase, the Secretors are going to do power to weapons, even though they're going to be hit first, because I don't think power to shields is going to be that much use with all this rend or all the attacks coming in. So I'm just going to take the gamble there'll be somebody left to use power to weapons.
Actually, yeah, I think I'll do the Harridans first, actually, because they've got way more attacks.
Yeah. So a couple of them are just piled in to get them all in attack range.
So 19 attacks from the Harridans, hitting on 4s. Yeah, so it's only 9 hits this time. Wounding on 2s, 6s are 2 damage. Oof, well, they all wound.
We'll just roll the 4 6s first, so needing 5s, so rolling 1s. Yeah, they're all good. So that's the end of the Secretors, but I get to pick next. So the Castigators will attack the Tomb Banshee, this one will pile in. We've got 6 attacks, hitting on 4s, getting 4, and wounding on 4s as well, getting 2.
4 plus saves, filled both, down to 2 wounds. And she has her 1 attack. 1 attack hitting on a 4, nope. Yeah, the Cairn Wraith can technically be chosen to pile in, so he's actually going to pile into the other side of the Harridans, which does technically get him closer to Xandria.
But that is the end of the battle round, no battle shock test necessary. So we're on to battle round 3, and we're rolling off again. I've rolled a 3.
You choose.
Yeah, so I'll be going first again, so on to Stormcast turn 3. So we're back to 2 command points, and then we'll try and do Spirit Storm again, needing a 7. Nope, she still can't roll high enough. Then on to movement, Xandria's moved back towards her own table edge a little bit. And over here, the Griffhounds have moved round, coming close to the Guardian of Souls, like this. Then the Castigators will stay in melee, the Ballista's shifted back a bit, and then beyond the shooting phase, we'll start with the Castigators, they'll shoot the Banshee that they're engaged with. 3 shots, hitting on 3 or 2s, rerolling 1s. No 1s, and 2 hits. Wounding on 3s, oh, just 1.
4 plus, made it.
And the Ballista cannot see the Harridans at all, because that ruin has a solid wall on the bit that is interposing between them, so it's just going to shoot the Chain Rasps instead. So the multi-shot profile, 4 shots hitting on 5s, missed 4 times again. So that brings us on to the charge phase. We will start with the Griffhounds, they're going to charge. They rolled a 9, but that's enough to do anything basically. So they will jump on top of the building and attack the Guardian of Souls, and then Xandria will charge as well. And she rolls an 8. So Xandria will run away over here to get onto the end of the Chain Rasps and also on the objective. And then in the combat phase, we will pick Xandria to go first. So she has 3 attacks on the Chain Rasps, hitting on 3s. Getting all 3. Good start. Wounding on 3s. Just 1.
5 plus save for Chain Rasps. Go Chain Rasps. I guess we'll do the Guardian of Souls. He's more important than the Tomb Banshee. He's got 3 attacks, hitting on 3s, getting 2. And wounding on 2s. Getting 2, so that's going to be a dead Griffhound.
Yep, 2 damage. So that takes out the wounded one. So then the Castigators can go before the Tomb Banshee does. 6 attacks on 4s, getting 3, and wounding on 4s as well. All 3.
4 plus saves. Oh, she dies.
Right, so that kills off the Tomb Banshee.
The Chain Rasps will pile in. These 7 here can all be within an inch, so that'll be 15 attacks. 15 attacks hitting on 4s. Ugh, that one is cocked here. 4 hits. And wounding on 3s because we're within 12 of the Guardian of Souls. Well, at least that made a difference. 3 wounds.
3 plus saves. Oh no. Okay, well that's 2 wounds going through, so that's the end of Xandria.
Xandria goes down. That's actually a victory point for the Nighthaunt.
Then the Griffhounds get to go. Well, this one will just pile in a little bit around there. Then we've got 5 attacks hitting on 3s, getting 3, and wounding on 4s, getting just 1.
4 plus save. Made it.
Then the Griffhounds will make their retreat move off the building. Then they have to make a battle shock test, and I don't have my general alive anymore to save them. So on a 6, one will run away. Nope, they're good. That's the end of Stormcast turn 3, on to Nighthaunt turn 3.
So the Guardian of Souls is going to try and cast Spectral Lure again, needing a 6. Getting it with a 10.
No, I can't stop it now either.
Yep. I'm going to cast it on the Dreadscythe Harridans, because they're the only unit that is an eligible target. I get to bring back D6 Harridans. 5 will do.
There's only 3 to bring back, so that will be enough.
In my movement phase, the Guardian of Souls and the Cairn Wraith both ran, and the Guardian of Souls is able to get inside this building, so he's out of line of sight of the ballista because this whole wall is can't see through it, and the Harridans are going to move up as well, so they're all hidden in the ruins.
Yeah, the Guardian of Souls rolled a 6, which is why you go that far.
And the Chain Wraiths are actually engaged with the Castigators. They are just within 3 inches, and I'm not going to fall them back. In the charge phase, the Harridans are going to charge the ballista. They're going to need an 8 for that one in front to be able to get in range. Whoop. I might as well re-roll that because I've got a ton of command points. Ooh, an 8. The Harridans are going to finish their charge like that. I'm actually going to pick the Chain Wraiths to go first because these guys have more attack respect. So after piling in, the Chain Wraiths are only going to get to there. This one's not actually in, so it's just the Dread Warden and these 4 normal ones. So we've got 11 attacks hitting on 4s, 6 hits. Then wounding on 3s because we're still within 12 for the Guardian Souls. 6 wounds.
And 4+ saves, failing 4, so there's a 1 wound left in the unit after all that. Leaving just the Prime left on 1 wound. Then it's my pick, so the Ballista will go. So the Ballista and Crewmen are treated as a single model, which overall has 4 attacks, hitting on 4s, 2 hits, wounding on 4s, nothing.
So they're going to finish piling in like that. Only 6 of them can get in, not including the Sash Chrome. 18 attacks hitting on 4s. It's 10 hits, then wounding on 2s because of the Guardian of Souls, 6s are 2 damage. Well, they're all wounded, but there's only 1 2 damage.
Do the 2 damage one, needing a 5, that's a 4+ save. Nope, so 2 damage so far, it's got 7 wounds in total, and then we've got another 9. 5s. Made 4 of them, so that's exactly enough damage to kill it. 5.
Yeah, and you had 5 left, so it takes 7 damage in total.
And that leaves the Castigator Prime to fight. 2 attacks on 4s, getting him 2. And wounding on 4s, 2. He's angry.
5s. No, 2 dead Chain Wraiths. I'll take away these 2.
And he has to take a battle shock test as well, so he lost both of his squad mates, so on a 5 he'll run away. Oh, a 6, he runs away. He flees. And that's the end of Battle Round 3, and I'm just going to concede the game at this point because I have 2 Gryph-hounds left who are hiding over there. If I get the first turn, there is a chance they could come over here and kill the Cairn Wraith and take this objective, but regardless of whether the Nighthaunt go first or second, these Harridans can make it back over here either with an automatic run of 6 or a move and then a charge with the reroll, so they're going to get tons of models.
If I went first, I would run the Harridans, and I could easily get a whole bunch of them on top of the objective, far more than the Gryph-hounds would be able to kill.
So that will be a Nighthaunt victory, and we will recap the game for you now. So that was the battle plan for issue 39 of Age of Sigmar Mortal Realms magazine. How do you think that one went?
I thought he wasn't going particularly well in the first couple of turns because he'd managed to get Xandria in a position. He hadn't used her Spirit Flask, and she was right in the middle of the map. I think you were actually quite lucky. You never got her spell off, and your Ballista failed to hit anything after the first turn.
Yeah, it could have made a difference if she got her spell off twice.
Just the extra mortal wounds. She would have killed the Tomb Banshee, and the Guardian of Souls would have been at 1 wound.
And the Cairn Wraith's probably dead as well.
Yeah.
Not to mention 2 fewer Harridans.
And 2 fewer Chain Wraiths.
Yeah, but going off on a 7 just sometimes doesn't happen. And as you say, with the Ballista, 4 shots hitting on 5, sometimes it won't hit at all.
Your army is a bit too ranged heavy. I don't know, maybe you swap the Castigator for some Liberators, because you kind of need an extra frontline unit.
Yeah, the army composition I had meant that I had to send Xandria out as like a frontline unit, but unfortunately she was also worth a victory point.
Yeah, and you don't really want to blow her up, because then she'd be left on 2 wounds.
Yeah, I still think it was probably the right decision not to blow herself up, but that was probably just down to the role she had to play in this army, which was not really her forte. The Guardian of Souls was down to 3 by the end of the game, so he would have been dead, and the Tomb Banshee would have been dead, and you wouldn't have had nearly so many Chain Wraiths because it would have blown up 3d3. But equally, she would have been dead sooner, and she wouldn't have been able to use her Voidstorm Scroll to stop you bringing models back. So
yeah, and the Banshee, she whiffed in melee, but she did get a couple of good screams off.
Yeah, she actually did 4 mortal wounds, I think, over the game, and actually that was quite big when it meant killing like 2 Secretors off. Yeah, the Secretors didn't actually perform as well as they usually did. That was partly because I couldn't get them all into melee with the Harridans all at once, and I think just partly because they were facing Harridans.
Yeah, Harridans are actually good, especially if they wound on 2s. They have enough attacks and will cause enough wounds to actually trouble you, especially if you haven't got powder shields.
Yeah, I think that's actually the first time we've seen the Guardian of Souls ability really come into its own. Your entire army wounding on 1 better. And yeah, wounding on 2s with the Harridans. Even the Guardian of Souls himself wounding on 2s.
Yeah, and the Cairn Wraith as well, even though we didn't get to see him roll.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of units with size, my unit Grimghast Reapers didn't do anything at all, just died.
The fact there's only 4 of them, they needed to go because they were threatening my fire base, and they were actually a semi-decent melee unit, so they had to be shot. And then the Gryph-hounds actually did well to kill them off. But again, the Gryph-hounds, their ability to run away is kind of useful, but you have to pick them first in order to...
Yeah, there are a couple... I think every time they charged, you didn't pick them first, so they ended up taking damage.
No, because I wanted to fight with something else first. So that ability is not so useful in situations like this where they're actually fighting as part of the front line. It's much better if they're fighting something that can't really hurt them back that much, like if they're fighting like an archer unit or a Willow wizard or something. But fighting chain rafts who can have a lot of attacks, their lack of save means they just can't stand up to the punishment.
Especially chain rafts that are wounded on 3s.
Yeah. But that's just a quirk of the army composition is with an extra frontline unit, they could have done their harassment role better rather than once again being kind of relying on them to turn the game around at the end.
And I do think, talking about the Cairn Wraith, I do think he kind of shares the same role as the Lord Executioner. Slightly less accurate, but he does flat 2 damage, and there's a chance he'll roll a 6 to hit and do 2 mortal wounds.
And if you're facing a unit of 5 or more, which actually there's a full unit of Secretors, then rerolling hits is quite handy.
So you can potentially reroll a miss into a 6 as well. I wouldn't say he's amazing. The Knight of Shrouds, the Guardian of Souls, and the Spirit Torment are like the top 3. I'd probably pick him over them. He does have a War Skull battalion that he is part of that. Involves Grimghast Reapers and Flavor Stalkers that kind of makes them all a bit better against a specific enemy unit. But I don't think you're actually able to use it with a magazine. Well, you might be able to, just with very small units. But...
And once again, the Cairn Wraith is a model who comes on a square base moulded, just like the Tomb Banshee. So, once again, you actually cut that off and used it as part of the base.
It helps them stand out a little bit. He's one of the older models, again, like the Tomb Banshee, that's been in the Undead range. And also, with the magazine, you only actually end up getting 9 Grimghast Reapers. So, if you wanted an extra one, you could always use the Cairn Wraith as one, since he looks pretty similar.
And especially if you gave him the one of the skull face options, because he would just look like one, actually. You wouldn't be able to tell the difference if you didn't know what you were looking for.
We got to set up the terrains, we actually got to see it in a different variation for once.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that, obviously if you're playing your own games where you make stuff up, then you probably will have already been placing your own terrain anyway. And
it's not exactly a difficult concept to grasp.
No.
I suppose you do have to think a bit to try not to make it too imbalanced in favour of one side, unless that's what you want to do in your scenario.
Yeah. I also quite enjoy just playing on a different terrain setup. It just made the game feel a bit different, even though...
A bit fresher.
Because we've just been playing on the same board for the last 18 games.
I guess it does feel at least a bit more thematic that we're finally fighting inside Summersong, not just the same old. Here's the same location, but it's apparently a different place every time.
And we'll get to see a bit more of that as we start getting more boards as well, and larger battlefields. But I think that's everything for this episode, so if you enjoyed this video then feel free to leave a like and subscribe. Let us know your thoughts on the game. If you've been playing through these games yourself, let us know how you did. But we've been the Tabletop Donkeys, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye for now.